Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another edition of the Stampede. Now, I know it has been a quiet week here, but we figure there's not a lot going on in the world of football other than the Super Bowl. So, one podcast this week. It's going to be up on Friday. We are recording this Thursday night. So, and other than the Super Bowl, not a lot has been going on other than Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff, blockbuster trade. The Rams receiving quarterback Matthew Stafford, and the Lions receiving Jared Goff, third round pick this year, a first round pick next year, and then in 2023, another first round pick. So Lions getting quite a bit there, and the Rams not picking a draft pick. I think their current next first round pick's like in seventh grade. So, um, yeah, so we're going to start with that before we get into the Super Bowl. But before that, just really quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you could do us all a favor and subscribe to the channel and to the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast, whichever platform you are hearing this on, please do all you can to support us there. Whether that means commenting, liking a video, subscribing, giving us a 5-star review, no matter what, whatever platform you're listening on, please just do all you can to support myself and my partner in crime, Ashton Young. Ashton, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm actually feeling really great. I'll think maybe there's something we could add to today's show because Ryan, you did wake me up with some news the other day, and I feel like we got to talk about it for at least 5 minutes.
Okay.
Was
Okay.
the college football video game franchise is returning. Hopefully sometime by next year. But that was the news that you woke me up with the other day, and I had a smile. I don't think I've smiled so hard in my life after hearing about that kind of news. You're like, dude, just go straight to your phone. It'll be the first thing that popped up. Sure enough, I got on Instagram and ESPN college football Instagram account already had the poster of former Michigan quarterback, the logo, everything. I was like, oh my goodness, it's back. So that's kind of put me in good mood this week. Also, I'm finishing up some midterms, so finally got a little bit weight off my shoulders.
Yeah. After what is it, 6, 7 years?
8 years, nearly
Eight.
eight, seven
Yeah.
and a half technically.
Okay. Well, after 8 years, one of the greatest video games of all time has finally returned. Well, we'll see. How long it takes it to get it out. By the time it comes out, it could be 9, 10 years since the last one came out. But I'm super excited. Especially with the way Madden is now. Madden's not the greatest game in the world. Let's just say that. And it's kind of strange to see that a NCAA 14 video game is better than a Madden 21 game and more detailed, better tackle animation. It's just really strange to see. But regardless, I'm very very happy that this game is finally going to be back. Um, can't wait to work on some dynasty mode.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as a person who's big on just sports in general, especially college football, and then just being a person that does like to play video games. I'm looking forward to it. It's probably NCAA 14 has probably been the most complete football video game that I've played definitely in the last 8 years. I mean, there's been a lot of issues with the Madden franchise and EA Sports. There were a lot of people that worked for the NCAA group, and when they joined Madden, they thought they were going to do all these things. And there were reports about how basically they were pretty limited on what they could do because there was just so much constraint on just focusing on one or two details in order to benefit the profits on the most. So yeah, but looking forward to this game. And really, they can pull a Madden and just copy and paste from NCAA 14, and I'd be a happy man because all I really want is the graphics to be better and the roster to be updated. Other than that, you bring NCAA 14 back to a next gen console or PC or whatever, you're gonna make a lot of people happy.
Yeah, especially now there's the capability of, well, what you had in the old NCAA games was after you went through your 4 seasons of college, you could transfer that prospect over to Madden with like file share. So that kind of brings a whole new aspect to the table because, as we know, that Madden has just started. They the last few years they barely started doing them like the career modes and whatnot, and they haven't been great to say the least. I know you and I have not
I'll
really
say
liked them.
awful, straight up
Yeah, so
awful.
I think
This
that
last one was more like a movie that you cannot, change.
yeah, so it's interesting. there's some capability there. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, and it's something we kind of wanted to talk about a little bit, just because we care about it, and it's football related. So
Yep.
okay, let's move on to the Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff trade. The Rams receiving quarterback Matthew Stafford. The Lions receive quarterback Jared Goff. 2021 third round pick, 2022 first round pick, and another first round pick in the year of 2023. And until 2024, the last first round pick they would have taken is Jared Goff. Kind of wild. That was way back in 2016, I think, is when Jared Goff was drafted, if I'm not mistaken. So they're going to go almost a decade without a first round pick. Ashton, I want to start with the Rams side. Do you think they gave up too much? Do you think that they upgraded the quarterback position? What do you think about Matthew Stafford going to Sean McVay and the Rams?
Well, they definitely gave up quite a bit, but at the same time, the Rams, in my opinion, their missing link or their weakest link was the quarterback position. I think everywhere else they were pretty much doing their jobs. I mean, the run game was there. The receivers, they all found ways to get open, and they're all, fairly cheap. You extended Reynolds, but no, Robert Woods, excuse me. You extended Robert Woods, but still, it's not like you paid him crazy money compared to, DeAndre Hopkins and other wide receivers in the NFL. You have two of the best defensive players in the NFL in one unit. You have Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, and a lot of other good players on the defensive side that basically, just follow them, follow their leadership and really play well with them. And then you have Sean McVay, who has proven to be a really good coach in this league, despite, having backup quarterback playing the last 2-3 weeks of the season. They still made the playoffs. They still beat the Seattle Seahawks, and they still got to face the Packers in the divisional round. So by simply just upgrading the quarterback position, you could really argue that this is a Super Bowl contender because they have that top defense. If you can have a good quarterback with a good defense, you're a Super Bowl contender. It's just straight up facts. And I think that now that they were able to make up for that lack of quarterback play that they were missing, especially from Jared Goff, not only just having a guy that has 10 fingers, but having a guy who has NFL experience, who's been making a lot of plays for Detroit, who's really just been the foundation and the face of the Detroit Lions franchise for so many years. Honestly, the trade to me just makes sense. And I will say, though, I will give props to the Rams front office for having a lot of faith in Sean McVay, because rarely do teams give up this much to upgrade a quarterback position, especially if it's a quarterback that's already above the age of 30. But I really like the trade. I really think the Rams have something special, and Sean McVay, I think, found the guy he needs to lead the offense.
Okay, I'm going to address each of your points kind of one by one. One, yes, they upgraded a quarterback. Do I believe that they gave up too much for Matthew Stafford? No, definitely not. I've constantly said year in and year out, this is one of the top 10 best quarterbacks in the NFL, and he always has been since he entered the freaking league. He's just played for probably arguably the worst franchise in the NFL. You can make an argument between a lot of teams for the worst team in the NFL, but the Lions are top to bottom ran poorly. They always have been. They've tried to rebuild with Matthew Stafford there 3 times. He's had 3 different head coaches, and he has basically carried the team to 4 wins, 5 wins. Like I really think that the Lions have a chance to go 0-16 next year without him. For one, 2, I'm not sure how better it makes the Rams, just because it kind of seems like I don't want to say a neutral move, because Stafford is definitely better than Jared Goff. But does this put the Rams in the conversation with the Packers, with the Buccaneers next year? I don't know. Maybe 2 years from now, maybe 3 years from now, they'll have the draft capital back, and they'll be able to kind of build more around their foundational core. I don't know if you could have such a top-heavy roster and win Super Bowls in the NFL. Speaking of top-heavy rosters, the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl, but and when we talked about this last two podcasts ago or last podcast about potential Stafford trades. I mentioned the Rams, I was like, the Rams could upgrade at quarterback. I just don't think they have the draft capital to do it, but they were willing to give up first round picks in the 2023, 2033 to the, it's going to be interesting to see if they are going to be able to hit on these late round picks once again and find these hidden gems, these undrafted players that they can bring in and that they could have contribute for them. You mentioned the age thing, Stafford being 32 years old. Look, 32 is the new 25 in the NFL. Quarterbacks are playing longer than ever. They're playing until they're 40 plus years old. Yeah, I mean, even Tom though, Tom, we could treat Tom Brady as the outlier, right? Philip Rivers, Big Ben, Drew Brees, all play until they're like 39, 40 years old, right? So it's not just Tom Brady doing this. I view him as an outlier, and I don't think anybody's going to play till they're 45. So at minimum, you're getting 6 years of a top 10 quarterback in the league unless he declines suddenly. And people want to talk about the injury factor. He's not as injury prone as you would think, for one. For two, he's been surrounded by garbage his whole career. That is why he has been injured. He's been surrounded by incompetent coaching staffs. He's been surrounded by incompetent ownership. He has done everything in his power for the city of Detroit. And I just don't I don't love the move, I like it. I just think that if this doesn't work, we just kind of have to wait and see. Because if this doesn't work and the Rams don't win a Super Bowl, they're going to be in the same exact positions as the Houston Texans, basically. Not as bad, because the Rams don't have a 24, 25-year-old quarterback that's one of the best in the NFL and has a potential to be the greatest, one of the greatest to ever do it, right?
And they have a top defense.
Yeah, they do. They have a good defense, and it's just, I just think we have to wait and see. I'm a little lukewarm on it because I wanted Stafford on different teams. I just didn't view the Rams as a true contender to get Stafford. We talked about it and it just didn't seem to fit. But now that he's there, I mean, I think the Rams have a good chance to win the Super Bowl. I think the Rams have a good chance.
That's why I'm saying I really think this team got a lot better. I think, again, they already have a great defense. If any team that has a good quarterback and a good defense, they're going to make it far to the playoffs, if not possibly the Super Bowl. Tom Brady's a good quarterback. That Tampa Bay defense is a good defense, hence why they're in the Super Bowl. Kansas City, their defense is good. It's not as good as Tampa Bay's, but they have a really good quarterback, like Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid being the good all-around head coach. And also their defensive coordinator is the one guy who's beaten Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl. So, they know what they got defensively as well. And I think for the Rams, if you already have your defense pretty much situated, your O-line is establishing the run game for Cam Akers. Your wide receivers are, not expensive and still making plays and getting catches when needed. And if you have Sean McVay, who knows how to make all these guys work, and especially those that he drafted in the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth round, stuff like that, yeah, all you need to do is upgrade quarterback. And I really think Matt Stafford's a lot better than Jared Goff. I really think not only because he's healthier and, again, has 10 fingers, but he's made a lot of plays for Detroit, for so many years. And he's been the foundation to that franchise. Now he gets a chance to be built around and actually be part of a team where if he does his job, they can win football games. So really looking forward to Matthew Stafford. I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just have never watched Matthew Stafford play football because a lot of people look at him and they're like, oh, he's 32 and he's never won a playoff game. Like, what? Why would you trade for him? Jared Goff has been to a Super Bowl. There's a reason that Jared Goff and potentially Jimmy Garoppolo are on the move. They didn't make it to a Super Bowl because of their outstanding talent like Patrick Mahomes, right? They made it because their surrounding core was so freaking good, and they both have two of the best coaches in the NFL, right? Stafford has been surrounded by garbage, and you look at Detroit and you see them on your schedule in the football, and throughout the season, you're like, oh, that's a win. But when it comes to the game, Stafford's always keeps his team in it. You know what I mean? Like, and he's always had these. He's one of the best fourth quarter comeback quarterbacks of all time as well. I think he actually has more. I think I saw this. He has more fourth quarter comebacks in the regular season than anybody other than, I think, John Elway. He's up there. People look. I hate using QB wins as a stat. I don't think it's a good stat. It's not a representation of the player itself. You gotta remember, football's a offense, defense, special teams. There's 3 phases of the game. There's 11 players on the field at all times. And quarterback is just one. Granted, he's the most important, but it's just it really upsets me seeing people that don't understand how good Matthew Stafford is. It's irritating, and there's Rams fans that are upset that they did this. I don't understand it. It's all right. Let's move on to Goff to the Lions, and the Lions getting all these draft picks. I'll start with this. I also want to talk about. Sorry, I'm getting off topic. I also want to talk about what the Lions could do in the draft. They have the number 7 overall pick. They have Jared Goff. So do they take a quarterback? I don't know. Obviously, no one knows at this point what's going to happen. And all the mocks out there now haven't taken Justin Fields, Trey Lance. Probably after this trade, I don't think they take a quarterback now, just because Goff is an expensive quarterback for one. And if you draft one high in the first round, you want him to play sooner rather than later. And no one else is going to take on Jared Goff's contract. So I just think that what the Rams should do is, look, even with Jared Goff and whoever they draft, they're a contender to get the number 1 overall pick in next year's draft, right? So I think you just kind of ride this year out, potentially get a quarterback next year. I'm not saying tank, because as we know, teams in the NFL do not tank. They just don't tank. The players don't tank. They're always playing their hardest because their job's on the line. They're not going to tank. But I think a lack of talent defensively and offensively is definitely going to hurt them. And I think that the Lions, I don't think they should take a quarterback, for one, just because I don't think you should throw a quarterback to the Wolves like that. And I think John Madden once said, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. You don't want to have Jared Goff and a rookie quarterback in the same room, just because you don't want controversy, and you don't want, after every single game, Jared Goff throws 1 interception, they're going to be like, let's go, let's bring in this new rookie quarterback, right? So I don't think that now is the right time to bring in a rookie quarterback. I think this might be good for Jared Goff, because reports came out, apparently he does not work very hard. He's had this offensive coordinator, head coach Sean McVay, that's kind of, he's one of the best offensive minds in the NFL. He could scheme everything open, and Goff kind of just didn't have to work hard for it, once he got this really good coach. So maybe this will turn Goff into the number 1 pick that most people thought he was. So, and then you don't have to take a quarterback next year, right? If Goff turns out to be the guy, you don't have to take a quarterback, and you already have solved your quarterback position.
Well, I will say this: Goff is going to be tested in Detroit. They're really going to see if they can get their money's worth with this guy. And you talk about how with Sean McVay, creating the schemes that he did on their playbooks, to where Jared Goff was always finding ways to stay, untouched by defensive players. Finding ways to, get out of the pocket, or, get those quick throws in there to either Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Reynolds, even. They're more physical in Detroit. It's really going to, they're going to be physical and try and get the run game established, set up the play action if possible. But they're going to be asking Jared Goff to stay in that pocket. They're going to be asking Jared Goff to survey the field, make his reads, make the throws he needs to make. And it's going to be interesting to see if he can do the things that Stafford's been doing for Detroit for some years. Probably not, as I already see you shaking your head, but they are going to test them. They want to see if they can get their money's worth. And if not, then, worst case scenario, they'll be high up in the draft order once again. They have 2 more first round picks now to work with in 2022 and 2023. They can move those around if they want to get the guy they really want, or they can just, move up in the draft even higher now. They have more collateral now to play with in the future to decide. But I agree with you, Ryan, that they are going to play this season out, see where it goes, see how this new system looks with a new head coach, with a new quarterback, and then just build off from there. I really think this is going to be an experimental year with just a new staff all around in Detroit.
Yeah, in a year like this, in a COVID year, I don't think that I think that you kind of have to give coaches a pass for all of the draft picks they're going to have this year because no combine, a lot of the players sat out this year, and you're kind of just banking on their tape from a year ago or their workouts and their physical talent, right? So you're going to have to give players and coach, you're going to have to give coaches a pass for if they do really bad this draft, right? In the Lions case, this is good. They're up early in the first round at the 7th pick, and there's quite a few can't miss prospects up that high. So they can go wide receiver. Devontae Smith could be there. Jalen Waddle could be there. Jamar Chase. Those are the main 3 receivers we see. If they want to take on a chance on a guy like Micah Parsons, they could go cornerback. Patrick Surtain would be there. Caleb Farley. A lot of these after the first 10 or so picks, it's a lot of question marks. And now they have a chance to go best player available, whoever they may think that is, or if they want to go for need or whatever. I think that I like this move more for the Lions than I do for the Rams long term. Obviously, we're going to have to see if the Rams can win a Super Bowl. And I actually, I rarely go away thinking that both teams won the trade. I like the trade for both teams. So,
yeah, it's gonna be interesting what happens. Again, just happy for Matthew Stafford leaving Detroit, being under a system where there's a lot of working parts. Interested to see if Jared Goff can really build himself up, stay healthy, and keep his starting role with Detroit. Not saying it's in question or anything, but just the fact that he's really got to up his game and be more physical if he's going to be under Detroit system. Because I know based on the new coaching staff that's coming in with Anthony Lynn as the OC, I believe what's his name? Yeah, Campbell is the head coach. Dan Campbell. I've seen his interview. He's all about being.
He is he's the most Detroit coach there is, right?
Right. Like this is going to be a very old school physical team. So Jared Goff's about to hit some 90s and early 2000s NFL, and it's going to be fun to see if that actually works out or not.
Yeah, and I hope that I'm never rooting against a player, even though it may seem that way. I really hope that Goff can succeed in Detroit because Detroit needs it. They need a good football team. They really do. Unless you have anything else to add, I think it's time to move on to the greatest game there is, right?
Yes, the greatest game.
What you'd play for. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our Super Bowl predictions and preview show here on the Stampede. I'm very excited for this because, as of this point, I still have not chosen a team. I don't know if you have, but I have not chosen a team yet. So I want to run down through the rosters, the coaches, and the potential matchups and X factors and all that stuff. I don't know how long this is going to take, but I'm very, very excited for this. So let's start. Ashton, where do you want to start? And we could start on the offensive side of the ball for each team, the defensive side of the ball for each team. It's just kind of.
It's interesting because for the first time in quite some recent years, we're seeing actually maybe since Super Bowl 53 between the Rams and the Patriots, we're really seeing 2 teams that can light it up offensively, but also play some really good defense. Kansas City, they've given up quite a bit of points, in recent games, but compared to them playing against the Buffalo Bills, I thought the defense actually played well, especially against a team that's arguably been the hottest in the NFL. So I really think their defense is going to get better. I really think that Kansas City defense, they're going to play really good in the Super Bowl. So for me, it's kind of a coin flip in regards to which team's coming out on top, because I really like both sides of the ball for both teams. But yeah, defensively, I would give the slight edge to Tampa Bay, just because the unit as a whole is better, and Todd Bowles is a good defensive coordinator. Yeah, I really think he's good at his job as a DC. As a head coach, yeah, I had some questions, but as a defensive coordinator, he's really good at his job. And I have to give props where props is due. He really knows how to mix, a lot of these talented new guys with these veteran players. He's creating all kinds of schemes that really works against opposing offenses to stop Aaron Rodgers, to be that fifth seed in the NFC, play the best, and become the best. There was a lot of defense that's due to it. But, man, honestly, it is quite a toss-up because I do think Kansas City offensively is better. I don't know. What about you, Ryan?
So I think that the Chiefs definitely have the advantage offensively because of who their quarterback is and their weapons. You can make an argument that the weapons as a group, the Buccaneers, wide receiver, tight end core is better. But I think the Chiefs are a more top-heavy team because they have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Tyreek Hill, who I think out of everybody that's playing in the Super Bowl, I think those are the three best players. I think that what we're going to see, and no disrespect to Tom Brady, I think he's just older quarterback, and but I think
we say this every week, and he surprises us.
Look, I know, he's not.
Don't get me wrong.
Look, he's just not up. Look, he's just not up there with Mahomes and Rodgers and Russell Wilson. Like he's like a little tiny bit below them. That's all. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying the Chiefs have a better quarterback than the Buccaneers at this point, right? Yeah. And usually, what I want to do is I want to take the team with the better quarterback because it's the biggest impact on the game. But this offensive line for the Chiefs is going to struggle against this Buccaneers defensive line and linebacking core, mixing up all these blitzes and whatnot. And Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy are definitely going to have to be creative with what they do. They're going to have to get the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands quickly. They're going to have to run the ball real effectively, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do that because of this offensive line. The Buccaneers definitely have the advantage on the offensive line. I will say that. I know that the Chiefs have Chris Jones, but I just think as a whole, the Bucs D-line is better. The Bucs linebacking core is better. Secondary is kind of a toss-up. On paper, I think the Buccaneers are the better team as a whole, but they don't have Patrick Mahomes, so that's why I'm struggling. Coaching wise, I think that the Chiefs have a better coaching staff as a whole. Yes. You mentioned Todd Bowles; he's been awesome. And Tom Brady as the offensive coordinator, I'm sure he's been great as well. So, but Steve Spagnuolo, I believe, is the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs. He's a great coach. Eric Bieniemy, a great offensive
coordinator twice.
Yeah.
It's funny. People keep joking that Kansas City needs to recruit Eli Manning to stop, Tom Brady in the Super Bowl this year. They're already one step ahead of them, and they have the New York Giants defensive coordinator that stopped Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
And look, and Brady, people want to say act like he's the reason they're there, and I hate betting against Brady in the big game. Like in the first half, he played great against Green Bay, but in the second half, he had 3 interceptions. So, and if the Chiefs can come away with 3 interceptions, there's no way in hell they're going to come away with what the Packers come away with, 3 points, I think, on those 3 turnovers. There is no way in hell the Chiefs are coming away with only 3 points. They will be aggressive, and they will come away with – they'll probably come away with 6 every time, So,
you know what?
I just don't know. I was, before this podcast, I was leaning towards the Buccaneers, but now I'm going to pick –
I have my decision.
I'm going to pick Kansas City. I have to.
I'm picking Kansas City for 2 reasons, and they're kind of both on the same side of the field. Tampa Bay against the Green Bay Packers, they did a great job shutting down Aaron Rodgers' receivers. But Those receivers were not Travis Kelce. Those receivers were not Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins. All these guys are dangerous weapons. We talked about the Green Bay's wide receiver core, and it's Devontae Adams. Scantling makes a play every other drive, but
he makes a drop every other drive too.
But also makes a drop every other time.
Yeah.
And the secondary for Tampa Bay, they got away with a lot of holding calls, a lot. And I think the only way that they're going to be stopping Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill at the same time is if they play some physical man defense, which I don't know if they're going to be able to without trying to draw some type of holding. I mean, again, Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, they've really been dominating the playoffs, coming off back-to-back 100-yard receiving games. So I don't see them being stopped all of a sudden by top total defense. I could be wrong. I just don't see it. And yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on it. It's just the receiving core for Kansas City's much better, and the defensive backs for Tampa Bay were already struggling against the Green Bay wide receivers. They played physical man defense, but they did get away with a lot of holding calls. And I don't think I think we're going to see a lot more of those calls being made in the Super Bowl, because you can't get away with holding to Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. They will make it obvious because
the thing is, Tyreek Hill is such a great separator when it comes to route running and his speed. I don't think they're going to be able to hold him,
Exactly.
So, I think I mentioned it earlier, but I think in order for the Buccaneers here to come away with the win, they're really going to have to be aggressive with their blitzes, and they're just going to have to throw off Patrick Mahomes. And I don't know if you can do that, because this Chiefs offensive line, without their starting 2 left tackles, they're just not very good. I think the Chiefs really got to invest in free agency and the draft and some offensive line help. Mike Remmers, I think that's what his name is starting at left or right tackle. I'm not sure which one it is, but the last time he played in the Super Bowl, Von Miller single-handedly won the Super Bowl for the Denver Broncos over the Carolina Panthers. So they're going to have to be and that Denver Broncos defense that won the Super Bowl 50 over the Panthers, was, I think, a lot better than this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. So they're going to have to play like lights out defensively and have a similar game as to what, Von Miller and that defense had back in Super Bowl 50 over, once again, a high-powered Carolina offense with Greg Olsen and Cam Newton. So I just, it's going to be, if the Buccaneers can pull this off, I think it's going to be very similar to that Super Bowl. But I think this game is going to be more similar to this year when the Chiefs blew out the Buccaneers. So I think that the Chiefs are going to – I think there's a really good chance that the Chiefs blow out the Buccaneers. And to start this podcast, I was saying how I might pick the Bucs, and I just was not decided. I just talked myself into it. So I think the Chiefs are going to win by 10, at least 10. Multiple scores.
I'll say 4 to 7 range. I'll say 4 to 7.
Yeah.
If Brady throws a pick, it'll be 7. If he doesn't, it'll be closer to 4. But yeah, I just can't see Kansas City's offense being stopped. I just can't.
I hate doubting Tom Brady.
I think Andy Reid's a smart enough coach to tell Patrick Mahomes, hey, if Todd Bowles gives us this look, throw it here. If they give us this look, throw it here. Because he has too many good receivers. He has too many good weapons.
I mean, look, I hate going to the regular season in games like this because this team, they already played each other. And I hate looking back on those games because I don't think that really matters for right now for the Super Bowl and these matchups and everything. It's just the last time these teams played, granted, with both of their starting left tackles last time. So there's that. But last time they played, Mahomes destroyed them. And Tyreek Hill dominated these corners. Look, we said it before. This is a really good secondary for the Buccaneers, but it's a young secondary and a lot of inexperienced players here in the playoffs. I think the Buccaneers actually have a better chance of winning next year's Super Bowl than they do this year. So I'm going to take the Chiefs here by multiple touchdowns, 10 to 14 points. I hope I have good squares. That's all I gotta say, man. Because
Right? Yeah.
I'm just so excited to watch this game and discuss this next week.
You want 7-3, 7-0, 3-0, something like that. You don't want no crazy, 5-8 or something like that. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun game. Definitely looking forward to Ryan. Hopefully we can watch it together somehow. Maybe this weekend. I don't know. We haven't really talked to anybody about what we're doing Super Bowl wise, but definitely looking forward to this game from the pregame show, an hour and a half before the game starts, all the way to the postgame celebration with the confetti and all that. I'm gonna watch every segment of it. Looking forward to it. Two of the best teams.
Yeah. I don't know how long we've been going with this podcast, but I know it's going to be a shorter one. So, because after this, I think after this game on Sunday, I think we're gonna dive into more of the off season, and we're gonna definitely see a lot of interesting changes. The quarterback market nowadays is going crazy. So, all right, I think unless you have anything else you want to add, Ashton, I think I'm gonna call it here.
Yeah. I got nothing. I talked about everything I need to talk about. Looking forward to the Super Bowl. Definitely excited for the future of college football video games. I'm not kidding. NCAA 14 is the sole reason I still have my Xbox 360. And I've had that thing since like 2010 or 2009. So I've been playing this video game for 8 years and using the console that I've had for the last 11 years because of how much I love college football and how much I like putting myself in a world where I can kind of actually have an effect on this kind of things. And really, NCAA did a great job, before they got shut down by being immersive, allowing a lot of creativity. There was even a website where you could build your own school and download it. Ryan, we actually created one. I think it was
yeah.
the UAS University of Arkansas State, Kansas. I still have it on my Xbox. So
who knows where the hell that's at, huh?
Purple Cobras. It's still there.
Purple Cobras, yeah.
Yes, it is still there on the hard drive. I am
Tim
not.
Riggins, the greatest fullback in
NCAA
history, man.
The greatest player we ever recruited in the 2-year history of the program.
Who led the nation in touchdowns as a fullback. Oh my Lord.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I can't wait. And once the game comes out, hell, we might as well just give like a game review on it, right? I'm sure
we're gonna be like Barstool, and we're gonna be having like stream dynasty modes on there.
Oh yeah, that'd be interesting. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're gonna call the podcast here. If you could please do us all a favor, and whatever platform you're listening on, do all you can to support us. I already mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, so I'm not going to go much into it. Happy Friday, everybody. And we're going to see you next time here at the Stampede. My name is Ryan Jones, along with my colleague, Ashton Yanez, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Peace.